welcome. I got to remember, every week I forget to turn the mic on. I don't know why that is. Too many buttons.
Too many buttons for a professional broadcaster? A man with all these decades of experience, too many buttons.
Too many buttons. I guess I would not be good on the transporter or what do you call it? The helm.
Well, you look at the helmet, it's got like 14 buttons. So I don't think that's too many for what it needs to do. That's always been my problem with the design, is that there's so few buttons for so many functions.
Right, and I guess didn't they work that out kind of in Next Gen, where they just said you just sit down and you just touch it and it does whatever you want it to do?
That's pretty much it. Yep. I always thought, like, as I got older, the original Enterprise kind of operated like Super Punch Out. Okay, so I want to go left at warp 6. Green, yellow, green, red, green, yellow. Okay, there we go. You had to remember all these combination codes.
Right, and then Glass Joe comes. So, all right, well, welcome to the Geek and I. And this week we are joined once again by Marty. How you doing, Mart?
Doing well.
Got that snow? Got that snow? Yeah.
We had a little northeast snow, a little windy, very heavy, but we got through it. We always do.
Now, was it like the weather Sulu experienced a couple weeks ago, where it was negative 71 degrees?
It wasn't so bad that I had to get under a blanket with two men, if that's what you're asking. But no, it was not that bad.
Okay. And that was, what was that? That is the, was that Charlie X?
No, that was, oh, how embarrassing. That was the one where Kirk got split in two.
Oh, right, or The Enemy Within.
Enemy Within, yeah.
Right, yeah. So this week we are talking about Mudd's Women.
Mudd's Women, yes.
Mudd's Women, and I think this is the first time I've watched this one. Only because I had a problem with the guy who plays Harry Mudd, because I remember him from Batman, and his mustache kind of irked me a little bit.
So Roger C. Carmel's mustache is what kept you from watching this.
I think it was the mustache. Yeah. So, but you know what? Getting through it, I liked it.
It's funny you should say that, because I've seen a lot of these episodes probably well over 100 times, and this one was always kind of background noise for me. Kind of like, yeah, if it was on, I'd watch it. To me, it was nothing spectacular, but nothing terrible. And on this rewatch, I realized how good of an episode it actually is. And I found a new appreciation for it. Not a perfect episode, but far better than I've ever given it credit for in the past. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. And it's notable that it really is the only recurring bad guy in the entire series.
Really?
Harry Mudd comes back.
So, I guess the Romulan that eventually turned into Sarek never comes back. They never revisit his character.
Well, he got blown up at the end, so it's
spoiler. Alert.
Yeah, 60. Yes, no. I mean, in the books and the extended universe, yeah, a lot of these characters are revisited, but Harcourt Fenton Mudd is the only person with the distinction of making two appearances as an Enterprise adversary.
And then the other one was called
I Mudd.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which is where I think they got the idea for the iPod and the iBud from that episode. So
yeah, it's Mudd that you can carry in your pocket.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought this one had it was it was, to me, it was one of those where you're watching it going, okay, I don't understand what's going on. Okay, where are these women from? What is their deal? Are they from a planet that just has something that like an Aphrodite planet or something? But to get to the end and find out that it's, and I searched for them everywhere, but I could not find them. I wanted to buy some jujubes, but we'll get to that when we.
Yeah, the non-glittery kind, like that one enhanced effect they put in there when it glitters.
Yeah. So
Yeah, to this day I can't take gummy vitamins because they remind me of the Venus drug.
now does that work on dudes, or is it just women that these drugs work on?
Well, Mud says in the episode, the way that it works, it gives you more of what you have. And he said,
right, yeah.
Men, it makes you more muscular, which
and angrier, right?
And angrier and more aggressive. And I thought that was a really interesting concept. That it just enhancing whatever biology that you already have.
But it really didn't, because we'll get to that.
Because I was just thinking, a Klingon takes one of these, what the hell happens?
Right. Now, Lursa and Bator, what happens to them when they take it?
A little bit from column A, a little bit from column B.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so the episode opens with the Enterprise just flying around. And they're not, are they headed anywhere special?
No, it starts out with them chasing, at this point in the story, Leo Walsh's ship, who is doing the worst evasive maneuvers I've ever seen, where he's just wiggle-waggling, trying to get away from the Enterprise.
Well, he's actually doing the Han Solo, I know I got some maneuvers, so...
Well, he didn't drift lightly to the left. I mean, he's actively doing this and this. And
right.
This.
Yeah, so he's actually a better pilot than Han Solo.
Yeah.
Because
he's doing the old Battlestar Galactica trick where you wiggle your wings so you don't get shot.
Right.
Well, yeah. So he's doing all kinds of, tricky maneuvers and basically burns out his engine in the middle of a asteroid field.
Yeah. So, and then an asteroid eventually penetrates and goes right through the ship.
Why did I know the word penetrate would be used in this episode?
Well, there's only
because of the following special program.
Too many buttons.
Too many buttons.
So yeah, so he Kirk wants to. I don't know, is he trying to help them? Is he? What is the reasoning of it? Did he not answer, or was it one of those? Why are you running? Well, why are you chasing me? Well, why are you running? Well, why are you chasing me?
I think what it starts out is that he doesn't have a transponder on to identify himself. And Kirk is trying to just get them to answer hail, which they're not doing. So they're assuming that they're up to no good or they're in distress, and that's why they're chasing them. And Kirk's right, because eventually the Enterprise does put them into distress. But thank God they were there to help.
Right.
It's kind of a chicken and an egg situation.
Right. So now the Enterprise is losing power because they kind of extend their shields around the ship to protect it from the
asteroids. Yeah.
From the asteroids. Now they get close enough to extend the shields, but it's starting to drain their power down. and then they try and beam the crew over. Now, is it because the ship is inside of the Enterprise shields that they can still beam? Or
That would be my understanding, is that because they're within the scope of the Enterprise's shields, they should be able to transport in. I think the logical explanation is nobody thought about that.
okay,
They were still kind of coming up with the rules of how this stuff works. But yes, that's a plausible, logical explanation. Since they extended their shields around them, they were able to get them aboard. Apparently, one at a time, or 1 and 3 at a time. It's just the way transporter works. Can't do 4. You have to, odd numbers only. So 1, 3, or 5. Yeah. So they beam aboard the captain of the vessel, who introduces himself as Leo Walsh.
who has the most annoying mustache. Now, is that his real mustache, or
He had it in a lot of stuff. I'm going to assume that's his mustache.
did he have that in Batman?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
He did have it in Batman. I actually kind of did a deep dive on him. He was on a show called The Mother-in-Laws. He had it on there. And Roger C. Carmel did a lot of episodic television in the 60s and right through the late 70s. And then his career kind of dropped off in the early 80s.
Because he was, he was good. He was good as this character.
I thought he was fantastic. And that's one of the things that, upon rewatching this episode for the first time in a long time, I was really impressed that he sells what could be a very over-the-top, corny role, which it starts out as. And as the story progresses, then we find out, oh, this buffoon is actually dangerous. And then when we can discuss kind of the personality change by the end of the episode. But yeah, there's a bit of an arc that he goes through during this episode, and he plays it magnificently.
Yeah, and I didn't realize, I think I've seen the beginning of this many times. I've never watched this one. This is one of the ones that I go, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to watch this. But it could be that his accent kind of threw me off a little bit in the beginning, and that combined with the mustache and that hat.
Well, this to me is a little distraction from the episode. Did he show up that day and wardrobe tell him, there's a box over there with all kind of mismatched stuff? Knock yourself out with your giant blue earring, your hat, if they were going for the pirate look, it fails miserably. I mean, it's just a really odd combination of stuff.
Right. And what's up with that hair necklace he's wearing?
Yeah, that's you got me. You got me.
Because I know sometimes I miss spots.
Yeah.
but never a strip. right at the top of my shirt.
He may have been smuggling tribbles too in this episode. Who the hell knows?
So yeah, it's like there was just something about this character, over the years that it didn't appeal to me to watch this episode.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and maybe just looking at it with an older eye now, I appreciate it more for, like I said, everything he puts into this role. I mean, it definitely clicked with people because he comes back. It definitely clicks with people because he's also featured in an episode of the animated series. Gene wanted him to come back for, there was some early discussions when Next Gen was gearing up. He wanted him to come back as yet another crossover type character, but sadly he had passed away before then. So, and there was even some talk about getting him a part in Star Trek 4. So, yeah, I think he just connected with people. He was a good foil for Kirk, because at this time too, Kirk is playing the rigid military commander kind of guy, and now we have, mustache face, over the top accent guy coming up against him. And I guess given the time period too, maybe people saw him as kind of an anti-establishment guy up against the establishment. I don't know, but that would be my take on it.
Right, and upon watching the whole thing, I did grow to like him. The more he was on screen.
By the end of the episode, you're like, wow, that guy's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we have him wearing this. I get, to me it looks like a pumpkin outfit. And
you know what's missing from this outfit? I finally got it in that picture there. He's missing like a mandolin, like strolling through a Renaissance fair and singing. Yeah, he totally looks like a cosplayer here that's failed.
Yeah, that's how I look when I try and dress for a convention.
So how many guys does it take to operate a transporter?
Well, it would take more than me because I can't handle buttons,
Yes,
apparently.
2 buttons throws you. So sliders, buttons, and the blinky lights might really cause a problem.
Well, I got sliders here too, but I don't touch them.
Smart man.
So they're in the middle of transporting the rest of the crew over, and that's when the asteroid goes through and blows up the ship.
Nice effect, by the way. The remastered effect.
I guess they're inside the computer, the transport buffer.
The pattern buffer, yeah.
Yeah, and they come out and they are. That's all I can say.
I had a laugh out loud moment here. Kirk's on the bridge and goes, Scotty, did you get him? And Scotty replies, we got something. Ooh, we got like heads, limbs. What's about to materialize on the pad? And then, the lovely ladies beam aboard. Kind of cracks me up. They all have their signature color and don't change their outfits through the entire episode.
Right. Until the end.
Yes. I've only seen Scotty look like that when he's staring at the impulse engines. So nice to see he's got a reaction.
Yeah, and then watching them, beam aboard, and then you have Scotty, and I mean, here's Bones, or maybe that's how he got his nickname.
It's a possibility.
But I immediately thought of,
yeah, baby.
You know what's amazing about this episode? It is the only episode in the original series where Kirk is not the horniest person on the ship.
Right.
If anything, he's going the opposite direction.
Now, is that because of the production order?
I don't know. I think what they were trying to do is show that he was more concerned about his ship than anything else. At that point, and I have to tell you, I don't know if you caught it, but McCoy was so struck by these women when they materialized, his actual uniform changed for a split second. They go to a reaction shot, and it's McCoy in that satiny short sleeve uniform that he has, and they go back to the pad, and then they go back, and now he's dressed in his regular uniform. It's like a split second. It's a split second takeaway in it, and like I said, I've watched this countless times, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's odd.
Hmm.
So yeah, little goof there.
And so we have Scotty that's just, he is gone full,
Gaga.
yeah, stalker. And the face on McCoy,
Yeah.
it's just like, and then you have Spock like,
How long have you been out in space?
yeah, Spock. This is only the first year of your 5-year mission. What's going to happen down the road?
Spock's thinking, I am not letting him give me a physical.
Scotty still has the face. And then this is something you wouldn't expect from, would you expect this from the 60s? I mean, the late 60s, are we getting to a point where this stuff starts to make television great again?
That's a great question. In the research I did for this episode, a lot of people were amazed that it ever got to air. Like I think one quote said it was a minor miracle that NBC approved this. Stuff like this was starting to creep in, definitely. And I think because this was a science fiction show, they probably got away with a little bit more than if this had been a drama or a comedy on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just starting to creep in. And the costume designer, Bill Thesis, he was known for these outrageous, titillating costumes. In fact, there's a very famous Star Trek blooper where Magda, the girl in green, is moving around and her boob popped completely out of the costume and she just sticks it back in. Yeah, so there was a lot of double face tape used during that week, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, now this outfit reminds me of Carol Burnett wearing the curtains.
Just saw it in the window and had to have it.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah.
So they're all in awe of the Vulcanian.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that just his use? Like his word, or were they actually going to in the second episode of the season, number 6 production order, call them Vulcanians?
It's a great question. I think it probably was going to be Vulcanian, because if you think, the 50s, there was Martians, Venusians. Are you from Vulcan? You're a Vulcanian. I think it just got shortened somewhere along the line. In fact, there's a later episode where Kirk says to somebody, "Oh, I haven't seen you since the Vulcanian expedition." I was like, okay, where'd that come from? I think it's the same way that for years, everyone knew that the 4 founding members of the Federation were Earth, Tellar, Vulcan, and Andor. And then Deep Space Nine referred to it as Andoria, and that name has stuck since.
So it was originally Andor?
Yeah, it was Andor, not Andoria.
So did they steal that for Rogue One? Was that a
yeah, they're like, hey, they're not using it. Let's take it.
Well, was that like an homage, or was that, hey, that's a cool name, we're just going to take it?
Let's just call it parallel thinking, maybe, or could have been. Now, if he was blue, I'd say definitely, but yeah. So they did a lot of things interchangeably, especially early on. You didn't have Starfleet. I think I brought this up in a previous podcast. You had USPA. What the hell's a USPA? Like, we're supposed to know that's United Earth Space Probe Agency. Like, it was terrible. So yeah, I think they were still kind of getting their footing here. And because this is kind of out of order production wise, last week we saw, I think we all agreed we were seeing Spock as we all know Spock. And this week we're taking a little backslide on that. We see some smiles, we see some eye rolls, we see some attention glances being paid to the ladies. So that kind of took me out of the episode a little bit, during the rewatch. But yeah, interesting.
So then this one apologizes for the way. What's his name now?
Well, he's still Leo.
Right, right. Leo Getz.
Yeah.
And he kind of quickly interrupts her and gets her off the turbo lift, and you kind of get the hint that he's hiding something.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that this is my cargo. So he's transporting these chicks somewhere.
Yeah, it was another settlement. And this was kind of interesting to me because Roddenberry had a lot of input on this story. And, he originally pitched Star Trek as Wagon Train to the Stars. As, Westerns were big. You could have taken this plot, replaced the Enterprise with a covered wagon, and it still works. Bringing women out to the mining town to marry them off. It's kind of odd that, you think about Star Trek being progressive and forward thinking, even at that time. And there's so much backward thinking here that it's kind of amazing. So, for example, he says, well, this is my cargo. And later on, Eve says something about buying and selling people, and nobody blinks an eyelash.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Federation might have a problem with that, especially if they suspected they were being humanoid trafficking going on. So it just goes to show you, looking at things through a slightly different lens, how these things were handled.
Now, do you get the feeling that the three of them were doing this under duress, or is this something they wanted because without, as we find out later with the pills, they don't like themselves?
I think they did it out of desperation. They, Eve tells her story about two brothers on a farming colony, and she makes reference to the other two being in tough situations with no way out. So I think that they thought this was a good way to get out, get on their own, and get husbands and people who would care for them. Because I get the impression that they don't have anybody like that. I mean, you think about it, you would have to be fairly desperate to get on a ship or on a covered wagon, travel way the hell beyond the frontier to marry and spend the rest of your life with people you've never met before.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the best of intentions, it's desperate. Yeah. This drug is so powerful. So powerful. I'm not going to finish that thought.
It has turned.
Did you see his hat? No. And this guy Farrell just annoys me through the whole episode.
That's the Riddler looking dude, right? The dollar store Riddler.
Yeah. He almost he looks like the human version of Lieutenant Aronnax from the animated series. He's just missing the third arm.
He's like Richie Cunningham.
Or Chuck. If he was a little taller, he looked like Chuck Cunningham. But it's
Right.
okay because later in the episode, Farrell is seen with a basketball, enters a turbo lift, and is never seen again. So
He's not one of those that you would like, who was the guy that was driving the ship in the first episode?
Mr. Leslie.
And then, he's not one that you would like say, oh, I hope he comes back. He was a good character or.
Yeah, no, he was. I think Farrell does show up in a couple episodes here and there, but first season, no Chekhov. That navigator position was kind of a rotating crewman of the week sitting there. And it actually worked because in a lot of episodes, the guy sitting in that chair for the episode drove some of the stories in that episode. So later on, with the Romulan episode, the guy at the navigator comm was the one pushing to fight the Romulans. And I think the Corbin might maneuver. There's the guy who freaks out sitting in that chair. So maybe in the long run, when they brought Chekhov aboard as just another permanent seat filler there, they kind of lost the opportunity to bring some drama in from the non-regular cast, I should say.
Right. Or, you could have had them come on for a couple of weeks and then they're the ones that die off and you have, you don't know who it's going to be, who's going to die this week or, like Game of Thrones, you can never tell who's going to die or, how Walking Dead sacrificed a couple of people here and there.
Yep.
But once you throw Chekhov in the mix, it's like
he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
I just realized if one of these women had red hair, they would have looked like the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah. Maybe that's where they got the idea.
The inspiration for it.
Yeah. So that's the only thing we're missing is we're missing our Marianne. We have a Ginger. Oh no, we don't have a Ginger. We have Marianne, 2 Mrs. Howells.
Which is 2 Mrs. Howells too many.
Yes. Then there's always this one in the green that always has always got this look like she doesn't want to be there.
Coming to the Federation Broadcast Network, Charlie's Angels, 2284.
So this is where they almost blow it for him, right? Because he actually, she's this is the tough one. This blonde on the left,
Eve,
yeah.
Yeah.
And is that a choice for that character, or just so happens that the one that's named Eve has some spice?
Knowing Roddenberry and his God obsession, I would say it's not coincidental.
Right. Because he does have and I think that at the end of this, it's a really good. They surprise you at the end with it being a decent moral story.
Oh, 100%.
And that's
100%.
That's what I didn't expect out of it. So the chicks are yelling back at Leo, and I guess the security guards are in there with them, or at least one security guard who apparently this drug doesn't affect, because they walk past, all three of them walk past him in the hallway, and then he's in the room with them, and not an inkling of not a thought goes through his mind about, gosh, how beautiful they are.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only that, he's overhearing a conversation that clearly should probably be reported back to somebody, and doesn't say a word. I when I watched the episode tonight, I went, "What are they? Rent-a-red shirts? These guys have." They could care less that, they're clearly talking about something and they're trying to hide something. And no, it's, I'm going to run up to the bridge and mention this. That just seemed weird. No.
So he's telling him he still has his accent on, and he's like, Leo Walsh is my name, darling. Now, is that Scottish or is that Irish?
It sounds like bad Irish, to be honest with you.
Okay. So he's not like he's not doing a Scotty impression.
No, because, I think if Scotty had heard a fellow Scotsman, he would have referenced it. But yeah, I think he was going more for Irish.
And then here we have...
where's Farrell's insignia?
He doesn't need it.
Okay, yeah, I guess so.
That's his pajama top. He got called in. So I guess they're gonna have a what do you call it? A tribunal?
Yeah.
On the ship? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do they do that often? Just pick somebody up out of space and put them on trial?
It was a slow week. So, I guess they within the realm of what they do. Again, if you're out on the frontier, it probably would be within the purvey of the captain's abilities to, anything that would affect navigation, which the ship obviously did. For lack of a better term, even ships at sea can have a maritime investigative board on the ship. I wouldn't put it out of the possibility, but I think this was just a nice little scene to get a lot of exposition out of the way and kind of open up what's really going on. So There's nothing like a good conference room scene to have a lot of dialogue and get that stuff out.
And that's your final answer?
I'm going to go with that, yeah.
Incorrect.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, computer. And what's really great, they all start out by watching reruns of The Outer Limits.
Yes. We control the vertical, right?
Yes,
that was the Outer Limits
and the vertical, yeah.
Okay. At least I got something right. So here's his rap sheet, which has 1, 2, 3. There's 3 offenses on there. He's a 3 strikes and you're out. So nowadays he'd be given a house and a $10,000 stipend every month.
That's true. That's true. Had he been in New York, he probably just would have been out on released on his own recognizance that day. Which cracks me up here is future police record. Why do we have to know the word future police? It just jumped out at me when I watched it. And if he's 240, I would like to know when they readjusted the measurement scale in the 22nd century.
Now, is that a selfie? Because his earrings on the wrong side. He's wearing the same shirt and jacket.
Forgot to flip it.
Yeah, and he still has the hair necklace.
Now, I'm gonna defend him on this because I'm gonna tell a little side story here. When I was coming back from Ireland, the first time I visited my wife when she was there. And I got back and I'm being questioned at the gate, like normally you would be when you're coming through customs. And I'm at JFK and they're really questioning, do you have a form of secondary ID? So I said, yes. I give him my driver's license. Give them the driver's license. Now they're looking at my driver's license and they're looking at my passport and they're looking at me. And then he steps back in the office. He comes back 20 minutes later with a supervisor. They start asking me a lot of questions. So finally, I must have answered everything right. And they're like, okay, you can go. So I said, can you guys just tell me, did I do something? Why I was being stopped? And the guy hands me all my documentation back and he goes, you may want to get to a mirror. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, right? My license, my passport, and the outfit I'm wearing are all the same. I just happen to wear the same t-shirt and jacket combination the day I landed, the day I took my passport photo, and the day I got my license picture taken. So, yes, it's possible Leo Walsh might be wearing the same things.
Okay.
I can speak from personal experience on that one.
All right. Well, at least we settled that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and notice it is pretty lenient because smuggling, sentence suspended. Well, really? You just suspend sentences?
Yeah, and then like psychiatric treatment, and you're not gonna hold them on that?
Well, they don't really have penal. Won't they have rehabilitation colonies? So, yeah. No, because psychiatric treatment worked. It made him psychotic. So
maybe he needs
Hey,
he needs some kind of pills. Hey, Deb.
I'm sorry. I must have gotten the time wrong.
How you feeling?
I feel fine. It's my voice that's off.
Oh my gosh! Why is it off? That sounds perfect.
Well, I refer to this as my Darth Vader voice because it's a couple octaves lower than what it usually is.
I've seen those movies, and I'm going to go on a limb here and say not quite, but yeah, it's a little deeper.
Well, it's not. I answer the phone, and people think it's a guy. So
okay, that's a little different.
But I think it's getting better. So
I'm glad you're feeling better. I wish I had morning voice. So.
Just looking at this, can we ask why they need a recent signature as opposed to just a signature? Oh, this is clearly the signature of a young man or an old man. No, it has to be a recent signature. Okay.
Well, maybe alien took over his body, or maybe it's a clone. Oh, that's Star Wars. Never mind.
So he has a fair complexion, which looks more red and like he's been baking in the sun. And I like any information pertaining to Mudd, please notify authorities. So, like, you run across him around SETI Alpha 5. What do you do? Dial 911? Is that
subspace frequency 911?
And if you're on AT&T and the whole thing is down, what do you do then?
Not a damn thing.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
So he's charged for operation of a vessel without a license. I don't know if we
license. Yeah.
Well, can we say that?
A primary dwelling license. I don't know. We had that discussion before we went live.
Yeah. And he had it revoked. What is that? What are we in 13? We're in 13 something now, right?
1329.2.
Incorrect.
Why do I have a feeling this is going to become a staple of this podcast?
There you go.
It wasn't too many buttons. You got it.
So, I guess they find him guilty, and he kind of has to open up as to what he's doing. So he is, I don't know. Is he a pimp?
No, I think he's a human trafficker. To be honest with you,
Mm.
he's not. He's getting paid. He was getting paid by the people on the planet they don't get to bring wives. These women are being brought across the galaxy. They cross the state line. That's the Mann Act. So, you know, I would say he's shady at best, moving women across the galaxy for nefarious purposes. I wouldn't say he's a pimp, but definitely a scumbag.
And under false pretenses too.
Right. He knows they're drugged, and he knows he's going to leave them. The drug's going to wear off, and it'll be beyond the 30-day return window. So those miners on the other planet would have been screwed.
Literally.
Mm.
So he's, I guess, everybody around the table except for Kirk. Now, is his hair going the wrong way again?
No, that's right.
Is that right?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, everyone around the table except Kirk, and the very helpful computer decides to announce it to everyone at the conference table. And then Kirk has to have it stricken from the record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know how hard it was to grab that line right there, you know, when I was doing my screenshots, because it went by so quickly. I had to go back and I'm like, oh, and hit it. Nope, I didn't again. Delete, hit it. But yeah, it's like,
Of all
is
the
he?
stuff that Spock has probably had to strike from the record over the years, this was the only one that I would agree with.
Now is that tampering with an official document?
I don't know.
No,
Courts do it today.
Courts do it today. Yeah. Yep.
That's true.
Yep. But usually there's a jury and stuff, but there's just these guys who now like are all making faces because they got called out.
Well, would you consider them a hung jury?
Probably.
And what the hell is Farrell doing there?
Yeah, he drives the boat.
Yeah. We couldn't get somebody else to be on this panel.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So they're gonna turn him over to legal authorities, basically dial space 911 and figure out how to hand him over. And again, we have three dudes here that are feeling the effects, and then two rent-a-shirts in the back that don't feel the effect. And then this is where the show gets interesting, because now the I guess before it became dilithium, they were just lithium crystals.
Yeah. But you know how dangerous those things are. They're constantly exploding if you don't charge them right. So that's why they switched to dilithium. And that's basically what happens. I was cracking up every time the lithium battery or the lithium crystal went out, and you get that. I was like, oh, another e-bike took out the Enterprise.
So this one likes Kirk,
Yeah, there's a connection there.
and he's fighting it. And the whole life support system is going down, and when they start feeling the effects of the pills wearing off and they start changing, I originally thought, because they hadn't mentioned the pills yet, I thought it was because of the life support going down. So that was kind of like a cool little curveball that they threw. So we find out that he's going to take them to the lithium miners. Now, before I had the closed caption on, I didn't know if they were young people.
Underage.
Yeah. Because he is, like you said, a scumbag.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and this is where he gets really cool. When
This is the turn, 100%.
yeah, he turns into this really cool character who wants this ship. And who knows, maybe that's how he got his last ship, was he did the same thing and commandeered it, and now he wants the Enterprise.
So there was a line where he says Leo Walsh was going to be our captain, and he kind of trails off, he died before we left. In that brief little sentence, I'm like, well, it clearly wasn't of natural causes, was it? So I don't know if he did something or he just runs in a circle where something happened to this guy. But I thought that was kind of just a throwaway line, but had a lot of implication behind it.
Yeah, because he puts this whole new mannerism on once he drops the Irish accent, and he becomes a real threat. And I really, this is the part where I became more interested in this episode.
And actually, thinking about this, maybe that's why his engines blew, because it wasn't his ship. And he didn't know it well enough, and he pushed it too hard.
Yeah.
And he puts his feet up on the desk.
So now we have low fuel. They're going to the mining colony, and they can barely hold orbit when they get there. So they don't. I think that, what did they say? They were 3 days away.
They could hold a stable orbit for 3 days. Yeah.
So this, I got confused here. I thought I was looking at an eclipse.
I was like,
But
I don't remember this scene. Like,
but you know what this actually is. This is
bio bed.
right when she walks by it, and for some reason the edges got cut off, like their noses. But
Yep.
why do you think they don't register?
See, now, in hindsight, looking at it, I think, oh, that's cool. Maybe they're a robot. I just think that there was something in the drug that was preventing it from getting any reading whatsoever. In this scene, though, when McCoy throws the guy out and he says, Connor, don't you have somewhere to be? if you go back and look at that scene, it's Mr. Leslie. So I guess they didn't realize, or they didn't give him a name yet, or somehow through a Starfleet snafu, Mr. Leslie and the twin brother he knew he never had, that was adopted by the Connor family, wind up serving on the same ship together. But the guy just looks over, goes, okay, walks out without a line. And I'm like, that's Eddie Paskey. But yeah, she does not register.
I kind of wonder if that's also why when they were doing the hearing, why the computer couldn't or didn't, I don't know, like
Had no-
recognize them.
Yeah, it had no record of them. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
So I guess the pills mask everything. They're kind of like your own personal shield. So I guess, would you say that she was into McCoy, or she's just using him for information?
She's clearly just using him for information.
So the only good one in this bunch of three is Eve.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think the other two really are corrupted, because I think for the first time in their lives that they feel attractive and have this attractiveness and have this power. And the two of them are very comfortable using it, where Eve clearly is not.
Do we know how long they were with Mud under the influence of the pills? Do they? They don't say, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever said.
Because it would be interesting to see, like, if it's something that the other two were with him for a long time, and the pills have done something to their mindset, whereas Eve was a newbie and she hadn't. The psychosis of being pretty hasn't settled in.
But remember what he said about the drug at the end of the episode. It gives you more of what you have. Maybe they just weren't that good of people to begin with. And that got augmented, where Eve at her core is a good person, and that got augmented.
Well, she's good here.
Okay. Can I just bring up the lack of security? I wasn't feeling good in the hallway, and I thought I would come into the captain's quarters, because Kirk walks in and looks shocked. And he was like right on the verge of saying, "That's not the blonde I left here this morning." Yeah, like have a little chat with your security team.
Well, it's the same guy that overheard.
Yeah, rent a red shirt. Yeah.
It's like, we're going to...
Ensign Blart, why didn't you report this?
Kirk is, he walks in and he's shocked that somebody's there, like you said, and I can't tell if he's amused or if he's starting to feel the effects, and then something happens that he fights it off.
Well, I think he starts to feel it because, a little bit further in this particular scene, I mean, they almost kiss.
And can I just, this one particular scene here just reminded me how good the photography was in this episode. This episode is loaded with close-ups, loaded with beautifully backlit scenes. I think that it was, to me, it was like visually stunning in a lot of ways, that the way this particular episode was filmed compared to others. I mean, a lot of close-ups.
Well, I don't know if that's just my poor cropping of the image or.
No, it's not. Because I was actually keeping track before, and I was like, I stopped because like the whole episode is like either 2 shots or close-ups.
So these two go back and they're reporting to Harry what information they've gleaned, and then we have, which this is kind of like a bad screen grab. But this is actually the pills wearing off of her. And you can see she's got a little stippling around the eyebrows, and the hands by the hand knuckles are a little wrinkly. And then Kirk asked McCoy, did you examine them? And he's like, yes, they're incredibly beautiful. It's like,
Maybe you want to leave that out of an official report.
Yeah, Spock, can you take that out of the report?
Strike it from the record.
Yep, strike it from the record.
He's like, I don't know who are you? So he thinks that they're like alien illusions or something like that, and McCoy is, well, I asked you first.
Yeah, alien. You want to talk going from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds? You just, are they alien illusions? Oh, I didn't really think about that. I could be.
So they can stay in orbit at the minor depot for 3 days and 7 hours, and
Nice makeup here.
Yeah. Now I couldn't tell if this is. I mean, is this what she really looked like, or is this? Because this is. I mean, it's a really good subtle change to show you what they're going through.
It's a combination of makeup and lighting, I think. The way, instead of being backlit for the beauty, it's now being kind of downlit, and you're getting more shadows, especially under the eyes and stuff. This I thought was a very effective scene, and the makeup is not overkill. It's actually fairly subtle. It's basically latex and rubber cement.
And I think on the beauty shots, I don't know if this was possible back then, but on the beauty shots, it looks like they used some kind of like a blurring effect.
Like a Vaseline lens. That's what they used to do in old Hollywood, is they'd smear the lens with Vaseline to soften it. And yeah, you're 100% right. That was the effect that was used a lot. And not just in this episode. There's a lot of episodes. I'm Sitting on the Edge of Forever with Joan Collins. She's got the same effect. Yeah.
So it's kind of like let's see if I can share my screen. Where is it? Here we go. So we go from this
But again, look at the lighting. Look how her face is lit. You're getting the same dramatic effect. And I think that's a running joke in there. The lighting in this restaurant must be bad.
and then she looks good in the taxi.
Yeah.
And then they go through the tunnel. So she's on the mud pills, I guess.
The Venus drug.
Come on, it's 2024. The mud gummies.
And this is the Festivus episode. So yeah, it just goes to prove, it goes to show you how good lighting and technique that they had back, in the late 60s in order to do that, to change the camera angle and just put a little bit of wrinkle makeup on, and it turns you into me 24/7. So, and then there's this one, same thing, mussed up the hair. I mean, the hair is also a giveaway.
Yep.
Because this is pre-blow dry and taken care of. So he gives them the Mentos, or the Altoids. Which I think were they actually jujubes? Because that's what they look like.
They do look like jujubes. They could be jujubes.
Were jujube? When were they invented?
Oh, that goes back to the 30s, I think.
Let's see. History of jujubes.
Oh boy, these cute little candies have been around since 1709. So I was off by only 221 years.
So that's them.
Yeah. They also make a nice little replacement for buttons on the Enterprise too.
Well, no, those are no, they don't, because they're too small, because the buttons are actually dots.
Oh, okay.
The jujubes are the little tiny ones that really take out your fillings.
The nice clear ones that I like to use for my replacement buttons are Jolly Ranchers, and they backlight beautifully.
So they immediately look good, which is
like a shampoo commercial.
Yeah. So how does that affect another person? Well, I guess they explain that at the end.
I would think it's probably just producing mass amounts of pheromones. Because McCoy even asked her when the thing went crazy, which I thought was an odd question. Are you wearing any kind of perfume? Really? Our equipment is affected by perfumes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's what it is. Just a massive dose of pheromones being sent out.
And didn't he say radioactive?
Yeah. Are you wearing a perfume or anything radioactive? Yeah. Again,
it's part of my daily routine.
I just showered in the warp core.
Yeah. Ode to lithium.
So there's a failed lithium crystal. Are they safe to hold? I guess once they're broken, they're okay.
Let's go with yes. All it is a giant piece of rock salt. Your engines are powered by a giant clump of rock salt.
Yes, that's the new wave, Celtic salt.
Yeah.
So now the guys down on the planet want the girls, and they're like, "Yeah, we got lithium crystals. We have them, and you're going to give them over to us." And this guy reminded me of I forget what character. Who does he remind you of?
Oh, this guy? He's been in
Yeah.
a ton of stuff. He was in Next Gen.
Was he?
He was the guy in charge of the Starbase in the episode with the Binars. Not John Binar, but the Binars who when they steal the Enterprise. He was the other he meets him at the airlock.
For those of you under 30,
Yeah.
John Biner.
Yeah. Was a comedian. Still is as far as I know. Yeah, he this guy did a ton of stuff.
But he reminds me of some character from another show. Yeah, his Weasley attitude, and this guy. I think they just needed somebody else for a girl.
This was the guy who used to operate the parking booth at Desilu.
So we have Eve and Purple Dress.
Magda
So Eve.
or Zsa Zsa if you want. I don't care.
Now, do you think this is do you think this is a choice or an accidental screen grab where Eve is looking him in the eyes and the other one is kind of looking down?
Below the belt.
Actually, I think she's about to tell Harry his fly is open. Yeah, they're definitely giving these guys the once over. That's for sure.
So now Mudd is threatening Kirk with a slow and painful crash into the planet's surface. Right? Is that would basically what would happen? They'd lose orbit and just crash.
So let me just ask a question here. Is the Federation loaded with planets that have between 7 to 12 occupants? It seems like every planet we go to is either nearly abandoned or there's a small colony of like 10 or 20 people.
Well, would you want to live there? I mean,
No,
you
they
walk
don't
from building 1 to building 2 in a sandstorm, and you're lost. And it's only what, 50 yards?
Yeah, but then later on when they're looking for everybody with the sensors, I think someone says they're 11 miles from base camp. How the hell did they get 11 miles through that? And come out with perfect skin after being blasted with sand.
Right. It's going to clean the dishes.
Yeah.
But you're not a skeleton.
John, that gentleman was also in a Seinfeld episode. He was one of the Mendelbaum sons.
This dude in the blue?
The main miner there.
Oh, Childress.
Yeah, Childress. He was Izzy Mendelbaum Jr. Him.
This
Usually-
guy?
No, the other guy.
The bald guy. There you
This
go.
guy.
Oh.
Mandelbaum. Yeah, he did a ton of stuff.
I want to know who this guy in the blue is. Because that does not look like Bones.
No, it doesn't, and it's definitely not Spock.
Stunt double.
Who knows? Maybe it's supposed to be Spock?
Because you don't see him in the interior scenes.
Yeah, maybe it is supposed to be Spock.
Leonard was sick that day.
So then we have the I don't know what would you.
Okay, this is just a weird scene. It's like high school hookup. And Spock and Harry Mudd look like they're chaperones at a dance. So this is the scene where Eve's like, "The loser gets me," and then runs out like into the sandstorm.
See, now I wasn't thinking I wasn't thinking high school dance. I was thinking, when a bunch of people get together.
Space swingers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you hear somebody in the background.
I put the gun in swinger, baby. I put the. Oh no, baby, you're very shagadelic.
But what happens at these things all the time? One guy wants the other guy what the other guy has, and then there's a fight. So,
Which, by the way, I love the fact that the two women who we were just saying were a little manipulative are the ones who are laughing during this fight.
yeah.
They're enjoying it.
They're enjoying it. And Eve, the one who is the moral one, is repulsed by it and runs out.
And then Kirk has to go save her. So she runs out. So it's Kirk and Mendelbaum out looking for her.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And Kirk decides that he can do better on the ship. And then the next thing we know, he's on board somehow. Because
Well,
they never...
After the first face full of sand, he's like, "You know what? I better go up and look. It's easier." Yeah.
Strike this from the record. I'm going aboard the ship.
Listen, you take down here. I'll go up there and use the sensors. Okay.
Which don't work
Yeah, which-
because of the sandstorm. Is there some kind of metal in the...
I think they make reference to a magnetic storm.
Yeah, magnetic.
And it was like a crackling noise that came by, right?
Yeah.
So, and and here Spock says the storm is ionizing the atmosphere, and Harry actually looks concerned. Now, is he concerned because it is his payday that he could be losing, or is he concerned over Eve missing?
I think he's grown attached to these girls. I think he's got a soft spot in his heart for them, and I think by the end of the episode we see that clearly.
Now, is there something that he takes to prevent him falling for them?
Maybe he's got an antidote. I don't know, but that's a good question. Obviously, it was laundry day for Uhura.
Yeah. That's why I grabbed that one, because I was like, wait a second, is she wearing gold?
I think in 2 episodes she winds up in gold before they switch her to red. Meanwhile, in Mr. Freeze's lair,
So he brings her back. Mendelbaum, what's his name?
Yeah. Izzy Mendelbaum
Childress.
Jr. Childress.
Childress, right. He brings her back, and I guess his house is 11 miles from the mining company. I mean, it's only you. It's only you and somebody else. Why wouldn't you build right next door to where you work?
There's 3 people, and you built your house 11 miles away from where you work. And it's constantly sandstorms. I
Well,
was like, I played this scene back because I'm like, I couldn't have read that correctly, right? He just didn't say 11 miles, did he?
'Cause
And no
I
vehicles
don't
in sight.
I don't blame him. I am the type of person that, you know what, I don't want any neighbors whatsoever. But if it's just me and another, you know, like there's like 3 people in the company, all right, so we might be close. We might be neighbors. Let's just say that. So here she is making breakfast. Have the pills have worn off, I guess.
I think they're starting to.
They're starting to, yeah.
'Cause she doesn't really look too bad here.
And he, I guess, doesn't mind that she's cooking Brussels sprouts, because I mean, what else are they gonna eat there? I mean, is it hard to grow Brussels sprouts?
So this whole sequence is, even at the time, was just a little, I don't know, it's very sexist, right? Because she's talking about cooking and sewing, right? And he talks about, I've had better cooking by my own hand. And they just keep going back, and basically it's about household chores. And I'm thinking to myself, how much sewing needs to be done in the future? Are we still actually doing sewing? It was, I don't know. I just felt it was like he wasn't looking for a wife as much as he was looking for a domestic servant.
But she wants to do that. That's
She wants to do,
and
she's
isn't that
happy
what?
to do that.
But isn't that what she was leaving with her brothers?
Well, yeah, but she wasn't sleeping with them. At least if you're sleeping with this guy, the cooking and sewing is more tolerable, I guess.
I don't know. Have you seen the dude?
Yeah. It's very odd that this is clearly a strong female character. She's the strongest out of all 3. And she meets somebody who is equally as strong as her and immediately goes into domestic mode. It to me, it's a little, it's not a little, it underserves the character. For somebody who was strong through the whole episode, suddenly she's becoming very subservient and wanting to do everything for this guy.
Yeah, and I guess she, I don't know, is it one of those things where this was the only thing she knew how to do because of the way she had grown up, and this is what she has to offer once. Do they realize that the pills are going to wear off someday?
I'm sure they know they need boosters on the pills, so they know once there's no more pills, that's it.
So
It might be a way,
it's like,
if they're doing all the domestic stuff and then the pills wear off and they become homely or whatever. But maybe by that time, then, the men already appreciate it. They may not be too happy with the looks, but they've got something else to offer.
Well, they could just go elsewhere on the planet, walk 11 miles and find another woman, I'm sure. Yeah, this is just kind of, I don't know. To me, this is the problem I have with this episode. And it's like, what do you want, Eve? Are you doing this because this is all you know? Or are you doing this because on some level, you kind of like this guy? Or do you feel like, oh, he came and saved me, I got to tell him how to clean his pots and pans and I'll make him some Brussels sprouts?
Right.
The motivation is kind of unclear. Or is she doing this because she thinks this is what she's supposed to do, not what she wants to do?
Exactly. And at least she didn't offer to boil a.
I'm boiling a roast.
Because that's kind of like the outfit she's wearing.
I'm boiling a roast.
So then he hangs the pots and pans outside, which to me says that he's kind of softening to her also.
He didn't
Well, I
dismiss it outright. He didn't think, that's a stupid idea. When she says it, he stops eating for a second and has that look of like, oh shit, I never thought of that.
Right.
Yeah, I think she kind of, because he was being kind of narcissistic towards her. And I think she kind of knocked him down a peg when she said, well, why don't you put him out in the sandstorm, you dumbass? And he's like, oh yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, sand, it gets everywhere. He hates
It's
sand.
coarse.
It's coarse. I can't leave him out there. The Jawas will steal him. Oh, wrong franchise. And I like his hinged cave door.
That's a special. You can get that on TikTok.
But
The
if you notice, they from the outside they're structures, but on the inside they're rock. That kind of threw me a little bit.
well, I think they were more concerned with the lighting
Maybe.
and making round playing cards. So here she is, and I guess does he realizes that what he's in for with her when the pills wear off, and now it doesn't bother him, right? Because I guess he would rather be with somebody. Do you get, is that the way the episode, is that the way it went, or?
I think that he sees things in her that he genuinely likes. When she gives him the speech about, do you want this silly, stupid, beautiful woman, or do you want somebody who can help you, somebody who could be a partner? Like, he lights up a little bit. You could see the twinkle in his eyes that he probably thought he wanted this sex pot wife, but in the end, was that going to make him happy? No. In the environment they're in, he needs a partner. He needs an equal. And that's what he's starting to see her as.
So then Kirk comes back down with Harry and forces Harry to tell them that it's all a drug that makes them, that this is where he says that it enhances what you already have. Right?
Yeah, it augments what they already have, and it does the same thing for men, evidently.
So
Those are totally jujubes. Look at them.
They just melted the bottoms a little bit and stuck them together.
Well, you get them out of the box like that on a hot day.
Yeah. Once you sneak him into the movie theater in your back pocket, it's one big jujube. So who knows? Maybe that's not what the pills look like, because those weren't the real pills. Right?
Well, he
Right.
says they were colored gelatin.
Mhm.
Now, even I know that word didn't fly back in 1966. He shouldn't have said it. But
So they're fake.
he gave her a placebo.
Yeah.
And What I love is that the transformation goes from kind of haggard and worn down to beautiful and a completely different hairstyle.
Yeah, I think
With
I
a
need
different
some of
with a
those.
different part and bangs. And yeah. I'm starting to think Alien Illusion might be a good choice.
And it probably, in the future, they realize that it works on Snapchat. So it is basically a filter.
Yeah. A juju
And-
filter.
Harry kind of looks like he's happy for her.
He does. And in this scene, which very easily could have been a Kirk and Spock written scene, Kirk and Harry are kind of working in tandem together. They're on the same page.
And here's the moral of the story. You either believe in yourself or you don't. And if you believe in yourself, you could be anything you want. Very, very, I guess, 2024 for 1967.
Yeah. And at the end, too, he comes around and says, we have a lot to talk about. He just doesn't say, you're my wife, and say, you're staying here with me. He respects her enough to say, we're going to have a conversation, which is great. Kirk even asked her, you want to come back? And she says, no, I you have your thing. This is mine.
Right. And then we have the other two still at the party.
And they got married
Yeah, they got married.
by a subspace pastor or something, preacher.
So
Probably a 24-hour wedding chapel on Risa.
now can somebody do that over subspace frequencies?
They can do it now over regular radio frequencies. When people were in the military, it was very common during World War II. I mean, and technically, if they wanted to get married, they could just beam back up to the Enterprise and Kirk could do the ceremony.
Which would have been a good, like how they used to have the epilogues.
Yep.
That would have been a cool epilogue. Or, in another episode down the ways a little bit.
And then Kirk announces he's reinstating Prima Nocta. And and this is a great little scene between the two of them at the end.
Yeah. If going from a guy that I couldn't watch 1 second of this episode to struggling through the first half because I had no idea what it was about, where it was going, didn't care because there was no spaceships, there was no pew-pews, there was no explosions, no alien of the week. And then once Harry threw his legs up on the table and said, I'm taking over this ship, I got interested. And then his transformation from what he was, because he basically followed the same line as the girls did. They would take the pills and they would change because of the pills. So maybe this is the real Harry off the pills.
This is more the Harry we see in the future. More of a genial kind of con man. Like, Yeah, he's still a con man. Yeah, he's still out for Harry Mudd, but he's not malicious about it. That's
Right.
right. I mean, I know I'm going to get creamed for this. When they brought him back in Discovery, I'm like, oh look, Harry Mudd's killing people. Like, where did that come from? That's not Harry Mudd.
Right, which is an episode that I tried to watch because of the name, but now I'm gonna go seek out that episode from Discovery and see how they completely destroy this character, because this Harry Mudd is cool, even with that mustache and
that belt
hair
buckle.
and the hair necklace. Oh, I don't mind the belt buckle, but it was the mustache and the hair necklace that this guy I actually like this guy.
Yeah,
And
and
I
when he
think
shows up again, you're happy to see him.
and how far down the road is that? Is that like season 2, 3?
Season 2. Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you really like him, then we can even watch the animated episode if you want. If you can't get enough of Harry Mudd.
The Harry Mudd trilogy, because I think he's in that comic book that I have.
Yeah, he showed up in the comic books. Sure.
I think I think I have it over here. Hold on a sec. Talk amongst yourselves.
So Harry is kind of like the 60s version of Lando Calrissian.
I like that. I could totally see the comparison.
I mean, he's a con man. He can be very charming. I mean, not as charming
Yeah.
as Lando, but
No, I totally see it, and he has this kind of arc to his character. This is, to me, watching it again, this is definitely a character piece, and everybody hits it out of the park. Shatner is playing against type. He's more subdued than in most episodes.
Mhm.
You got the arc with the girls, the arc with Harry. I just think it was better written than I remember it being, and I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more this time around.
Yeah, I remember first watching this episode, and I kind of liken it to the Charlie X episode, which I don't like. I don't like the character, and Harry Mudd was kind of the same way for me. But after rewatching it now, it's just like, okay, he's not as bad as I remembered character-wise. That's become wiser now. Well, sort of.
I think a lot of people mentally checked out, like John said he had in the past, where you don't even get to the point where you see the full development and the full turn, that you're like, oh the God, this guy is annoying with the accent and the stupid hat and and the mustache, according to John.
Oh, she
Oh,
gone.
we lost Debbie.
Hailing frequencies closed.
Close. Maybe she hit a magnetic storm. Oh,
Yeah,
she's back.
I kind of thought I was freezing. I was like, well, nobody else is moving, so it must be me.
We just chalked it up to a magnetic storm. So good to have you back.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I survived.
And there
Yeah,
goes
so-
the Enterprise into the sunset.
Yeah, that's the like what you were saying is like people would check out before the story really has a chance to grab you. And I think that's what my issue is with watching these when I was younger. I didn't have the, and now I don't, because I don't have it because I fall asleep, but I didn't have the mental acuity to okay, realize that, okay, I got to watch this and there has to be a story here somewhere. Whereas, like, I still do it nowadays, but only because 90% of what I start to watch is garbage. So if you don't catch me in the first 15 minutes of your brand new 10 episode series, I'm not going to watch it.
There's a lot of truth to that, and I think modern television has ruined people's ability to go back and enjoy something like this, because television was structured very, very differently back then. Even like half-hour dramas, like they really don't get going until the last 6 minutes of the show. You know, like I was watching, I've been watching reruns of Adam 12 on MeTV, right? I'm enjoying the hell out of it, but it's like procedural, action, and credits. And I was like, now it would have to be action, procedural, and credits. It's like the mentality flipped, and I think people's ability to stay with something for, what is this, 48 minutes or 46 minutes is tough, because they have so many things competing with it now for their attention.
Well, I think what also hurts TV series today is, you know, back in the day and back in the 90s, or back before streaming, you had 26 episode seasons.
Yeah.
To where now it's 6 or 10.
Yep.
Well, with Andor, I think it was 16, but I mean, all other series have been, 6 episodes, 10 episodes, 8 episodes. And it's just like, you know, normally you would have 26 episodes, you know, to really, you know, get it started, get people into it, and then, you know, have the character arcs and whatnot throughout the season. And it's hard to do in 10 episodes or less.
But I think the difference now, though, is those 10 episodes are one story.
It's serialized.
And what was it that I was just watching where it was such a knuckle dragger, because it was one show that they had to extend across 10. It was a 60-minute show that they had to extend for 10 hours. And you can't do that and keep somebody's attention. I can't invest 10 hours on the hopes that this thing that you're dragging along is going somewhere.
Most people won't invest 10 hours in their own life to tell their own story. You can't expect them to sit there to try and watch somebody else's one single story in 10 hours. It's just so different now with the storytelling. You know, like you said before, 26 episodes, right? You used to start out with a 13 episode commitment and they would let you get your footing, let you get up to speed for those 13 episodes, and then make a decision. Are we going to commit to a full season, or are we not going to invest in it? They weren't afraid to invest in it, where you have a lot of shows that lasted 22 episodes, one season and done, right? Now that 22 episodes could literally be 2 or 3 seasons,
right,
of another show.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming has kind of killed the whole concept of, well, we need to hit a magic number to get into syndication. Because
remember, it was
syndication
always
doesn't exist anymore.
And that's why. And I just want to say, hey to Mark D with a C. Glad you can join us tonight. Appreciate the checking in for us.
Right back at you, Mark.
But
Why is
I
that considered a spamming symbol?
I don't know.
I was like, really? It's a Star Trek show.
But I remember how tough was it to get Moonlighting into syndication because there was only 55 episodes.
Yep.
And they didn't hit that magic number of, 75 to 100 for it to be, in syndication. And luckily cable came around and Lifetime picked it up way back in the day. And that's how I got my original recordings of Moonlighting, was recording them off of Lifetime TV.
And see, that's where cable excelled, because they had nothing to lose. So they would take a show that ran 2 years and throw it on just because they needed something to fill programming.
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many shows that you saw when it first ran, maybe got 2 decent seasons out of, never showed up in reruns, never saw again. To me, one of the funniest shows of the 80s was a TV show called Sledgehammer. You remember Sledgehammer, John?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They barely got 2 seasons out, and that was it. You never saw it again until the DVDs came out, and I snatched those up. Then about 10 years ago, like 2 a.m., Comedy Central was playing them in the middle of the night, and I was like, I can't believe this. But so I think they've kind of screwed themselves with the time of the episodes. Even the length of the episodes are now oddball lengths.
Mm-hmm.
Some are 55 minutes, some are 42 minutes. Like, if you wanted to package that to get to broadcast, and I don't think broadcast will ever die, but broadcast has to adapt to kind of move forward. They're on the verge of extinction, but I think they could actually do better.
I think if we're talking terrestrial television, they are, I think it's 42 minutes is what you have now.
42. Yep.
And, the like, I don't ever see Disney putting their stuff on commercial television because, you have an episode of Mandalorian is 32 minutes long without the 10 minutes of credits.
Yeah.
And then the next week is, like you said, 57 minutes long. How do you program that on television? And I don't think Disney is ever going to give up those rights to do that. But just as an example, that's what it's hard to do.
Yeah, it's next to impossible to do. But I think we lose opportunities like the thing we just saw. Entertaining, good story, great character development. I don't think you could do it today, and that's bad. And also, people aren't going back to this well because it doesn't fit their mindset of what quote unquote TV or entertainment should be.
And I can't tell you now that Amazon has commercials on it, I don't watch Amazon shows anymore. I don't want commercials. I am not paying for a service and then paying, and then I have to watch something that you get paid for. It's either one or the other. You can't double dip.
They're becoming the thing they originally hated. They're becoming cable television.
Yeah.
They're becoming cable television without a physical cable. So.
And now they're getting sued.
And now they're getting sued, and they should be. It'd even be something that, like, if they said, we're doing commercials, but you're going to get 2 minutes of commercials before it starts. I could even deal with that better than breaking up the middle of something where you're in the middle of a scene and it just decides to sell me laundry detergent and then come back halfway in between the dialogue and you're like, wait, what? It's jarring what they're doing. And none of this stuff either is filmed or constructed in such a way where you have like a fade out and fade back in, where maybe would be a logical place to insert a commercial if you needed to.
I noticed, I forget what I was binging something, and oh, I know what it was, Chicago Fire. And when I first started, there would be like a commercial at the very beginning, and then maybe one or two commercials at the end, and that was it. But it was just like the more, because I'm a hermit, I'll watch on weekends, I'll watch TV all day long. And I noticed the further I got in and the more I watched in a row, the commercials kind of got less. I don't know what the thinking is with that, but it's not exactly like cable TV where you get, 4 or 5 commercials in a row, or 6. You just get one at the beginning and maybe 1 or 2 sprinkled, if that. So it's not too bad, but I hate that. Yeah, I'm paying what, $199 for Prime, and now you're wanting to charge for free or commercial free, which I'm not going to do. I'm not going to pay an extra $2.99 just to have free commercial free viewing.
Yep. And a lot of these streamers, even using this model, are losing money. Look at what's going on with Paramount and Warner, and now they're scrambling to join together. So I don't know what the solution is. I really don't. They're going to have to figure it out. You're going to get to a point where broadcast TV is going to say, hey, you get 2 minutes of commercial at the beginning and the rest is commercial free. We're not like Amazon dumping commercials in the middle of your movie. It's just, you just see the wheel going like this. And what kills me is like a show like The Honeymooners, right? 1956, 1 season, 39 episodes. They did 39 episodes in 1 year.
Gosh.
And back in those days, that's what a season was. It was roughly, I think it was 39 to 44 episodes they did a year.
Yeah, like how many episodes is this season?
Let's see. This
like
is
27?
27 or 28, yeah. Yeah. By the 60s, it was about, I think it was 26 or 27, something like that. And now, like you said, if you get 10 episodes, when we were all growing up, 10 episodes was what? A miniseries, not a series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Roots.
And Roots, The Winds of War. Remember that one? That one felt as long as World War II actually was. I think they told the story of World War II in real time.
Every person in the war got an episode. You get an episode. You get an episode.
The episode with your dad was great. But but that was a major event. That was something different. And now they're like, oh, let's just do that. Or 2 years between seasons. What
I hate that.
What the hell is that? What the hell is that? To me, it's just very, very odd. And knowing how fickle the public is, why wait 2 years? If you got something that works, get it back out there.
Yeah, I don't. I remember, going back, and my example is Moonlighting again, because, you would have one season, and then the first season was like 5 episodes because it was a mid-season replacement.
Yep.
Season 2 came in right where it should, and then I don't know, the Bruce and Sybil had a thing, and then it went away.
They didn't get along.
And then it came back, and then it went away again, and then they're like, okay, well, we're just going to end it with 10 episodes in the 5th season, because apparently you don't like the Agnes and what's his name?
Booger.
Yeah, the Agnes and Booger show. So we're just going to call it quits.
Might have been that title.
Yeah.
In hindsight, yeah. But yeah, again, even Star Trek now, how many episodes was this Strange New Worlds last year? 10? I think it was 10 episodes.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. To me, as if you were an actor, 10 episodes was great. Oh, how many weeks of work is that actually?
Yeah. And then Mark says Shogun is getting remade. The original was good. Those miniseries used to be huge events. And now, I mean, is it going to be a weekly series? I mean, it?
No, it's a miniseries on FX. Now, do you remember when we were teens what the biggest miniseries was?
For me personally, or
when we were kids, the one that as teenagers everyone was talking about every day.
Oh yeah, it was V.
Yeah.
I just saw a post today on Twitter, like something what was her name? Badler?
Jane Badler. Yeah.
Jane Badler, and it was like, were you a fan of this show? And I was like, I was a fan of Jane Badler. I never wanted to be more evil in my entire life.
Yep. I think we all fell in love when she unhooked her jaw and took that guinea pig in one go.
But yeah, I mean, it's and what did you? Then they ruined it.
They did ruin it. Well, again, that was the original miniseries. I think was 3 nights. Then V the Final Battle was 5 nights, and then they went into the series, which was just terrible. And then the reboot was, I thought, had potential, but soon as I saw the CGI Velociraptor-looking things underneath, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And again, I thought it had potential. They even brought her back. They brought Jane Badler back for that.
In a last ditch attempt
to hey, remember the show that was good? We've got one of those people.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't like throw Starbuck and Apollo in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But Mark says the actors of the Orville said the small number of episodes was a big problem for their money. Now, do you mean like, was it a problem for them getting paid, why they didn't want to do it, or was it too expensive for the, little amount?
They're not getting paid for a full 26 episode season or 22 episode season.
Is that why they went on strike?
I don't think so. They pay them by the episode. So if you're only going to do 10 episodes, that's what you're going to get paid for, 10 episodes.
And then with it taking 2 or 3 years in between seasons, then you got to try and find something to fill in the gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Well, we'll see what happens next, because now the who is it's going on strike? IATSE is going on strike, the set builders. So, I mean, do they need sets anymore with the volume?
Well,
somebody just needs somebody to lay out some carpet and then turn on a projector around the building.
Look at how much is green screened already. I'm amazed at some of the stuff that's green screened that doesn't need to be green screened. Why are you green screening nature scenes?
Yeah,
go outside.
Open the back door. Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Yeah, it's called natural light. It's great. Go out there and use it while you can.
Well, I was on the way home from work. I was listening to Friday Night Tights, and they were talking about The Last Airbender, and they had mentioned that it's all in volume, and then they were like, well, there was one scene by a river, and you could actually tell it was a river because it had real motion to the water, and they were like, that was the best shot in the whole episode, was where they went outside, and I
filmed a real river.
Yeah, and filmed a real river. So I don't know. I think this entertainment is just in a sorry state, and we got. I think it's all going to come crashing down soon. So
I don't know. I still think 73 new Star Trek shows might fix it.
maybe 74.
Maybe 74.
Yeah, we might.
You and I may have to dust
more.
off some. You and I may have to dust off some of our old scripts.
Yes. I mean, we have a good one, so hopefully they don't steal it.
I want to be the showrunner on Samuel T. Cogley's Space Lawyer. Kind of like Matlock in space.
Yeah, that works.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, we're gonna
take a minor character from Star Trek history and build a show around them.
They might as well, because that's probably what they're doing nowadays. So,
Are you kidding? You wouldn't tune in each week to see the adventures of Morn?
just sitting at a bar.
Sit at a bar. It just live streams some guy. You don't even need the guy. Just put the costume there.
And then you have on strings just the beer come up. So
The head go like this, back and forth.
Have the
Well, did he-
occasional pretty girl sitting next to him.
did he even move his head?
He moved his shoulders. His head didn't really move. Yeah, the Uncle Fester move.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. I might have to stream some Morn. We'll call it, this is the Morn Hub.
There's the title. Morn Hub.
All right, we're going to call it on that high note. Martin, what do you got coming up this week? Shoveling more snow?
No, I don't have much of anything going on this week. What is our next episode, by the way?
What is it? I have no idea.
All
What
right,
little
so
girls are made of.
Oh, right. Yes.
All right, so I will be watching that and taking a copious amount of notes, and maybe going to see Dune. Right?
When does
Comes
that
out
open?
Next weekend.
Next
So,
weekend? Okay.
Yeah.
Deb, what do you got going on besides your 7 shows?
MCU Monday, we're back into Daredevil season 1. I think we have 2 episodes left of season 1. And then Tuesday, Sith Dominion, we're talking about the Sith Code. And then on Thursday is Cantina Happy Hour, which of course now we are covering the Bad Batch final season 3.
A lot of stuff going on with you guys.
Yes. So,
That has a little
So-
bit more than I do, so I'm gonna have to up my work pile here.
plus a
And,
full-time job.
Thanks out there to everybody watching. Mark, check out Mark D with a C's channel. Got some cool stuff. I'm sure this weekend he's talking more TV. Mark got food stuffs he likes to talk about. So I'll put his link to his channel in the description below. And this weekend, I will be cooking hibachi. It's my daughter's birthday, so she wants hibachi, so I'll be grabbing my grill and going out to her house on Sunday
Nice.
to cook some hibachi. And then tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow is the Texoma Comic Con.
Oh, that's
Right here, right up the road in. So I'll be there. Sam J. Jones I guess if Flash Gordon was made today, it would be Sam J. Jackson or Sam L. Jackson. He'll be there, and I don't know if you watch. Okay, Marquis says he promises they will not be talking Madam Web. I guess that's because nobody is. So.
Oh, they are. It's just not good what they're saying.
Yeah. Pretty sure it'll be on one of the streaming services soon.
I hope not. So. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week on the Geek and I. Deb, thanks for stopping by. Better late than never.
I apologize. I'm so
And
sorry.
Speaking of better late than never, you see I don't know if you can see it right there. That's my William Shatner. You Can Call Me Bill mini poster. Don't tell anybody. I made that myself. And I don't know if you can see over this shoulder. No, you can't see. It's all crumpled on the couch there. That is my property of the New York Jets. Flash Gordon number 19 football practice jersey. So hopefully I run into Flash tomorrow at the con and I can get him to sign the back for free because I ain't paying $60 to have somebody write on my shirt. So thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you next time on The Geek and I next week. Deb, what was our show next week?
What little girls are made of?
Right. Jujubes.
Evidently.
Incorrect.
Oh, okay. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody. Live long and